The rich man just dey lie for ground, unconscious. Plenty people gather, dey record, dey shout, but nobody wan touch am. Then, poor beggar come.
Get away from him now.
Look at yourself, wetin a beggar fit do?
I know wetin dey happen to him. I be the only one wey fit save his life today.
Wetin happen next surprise everybody. Because that poor man wey dem dey mock, na only him fit save him life. And nobody for that crowd know the secret wey connect those two men.
Every morning, Daniel sat beside the busy road outside the city market. His clothes were old, his shoes were torn, and his small plastic bowl was usually almost empty. People passed him every day without looking. Some ignored him, some insulted him. Others laughed whenever he asked for help. But Daniel never became angry. Whenever someone gave him food, he thanked them. Whenever someone insulted him, he simply smiled. One afternoon, a wealthy businessman named Mr. Richard drove past the market in a black luxury car. His driver stopped at a traffic light. Daniel approached the car. "Sir, please, anything you can spare." Richard looked at him through the window. "Don't come near my car." Daniel stepped backward. "I am sorry, sir." Richard's driver laughed. People like this should find something useful to do. The traffic light changed. The car drove away. Daniel watched it disappear. He had no idea that before sunset, that same billionaire would be lying helpless on the road. Daniel had not always been a beggar. Years earlier, he had worked as a mechanic. He had been married and had a little daughter named Grace. Daniel was known for being extremely intelligent. He could repair almost anything. But one terrible night changed his life. A fire destroyed his workshop. He lost his business. Then, his wife became seriously ill. Daniel spent everything he had on her treatment, but he couldn't save her. After her death, Daniel became completely broken. He lost his home. He lost his business. Eventually, he ended up living on the streets. But there was one thing he never lost: his knowledge. That afternoon, Richard's car was traveling through the city. He had just finished an important business meeting. His phone rang. "Sir, the company needs your signature immediately," Richard answered. "Send the documents to my office." Suddenly, Richard grabbed his chest. His breathing became difficult. "Stop the car." The driver looked back. "Sir?" Richard's eyes rolled backward. His body became weak. The driver panicked. "Sir! Sir!" The car swerved. It crashed into a roadside barrier. People screamed. The driver rushed outside. Someone called an ambulance. Within minutes, a crowd surrounded the vehicle. Everyone was talking. Everyone was filming. But nobody knew what to do. Daniel heard the noise from across the road. He immediately stood up. He ran toward the crowd. "What's happened?" Someone shouted. "Mind your business." Daniel looked inside the car. He saw Richard lying unconscious. Daniel's face changed, moving carefully. A man pushed him away. "Who are you?" Daniel pointed toward Richard. "Asmon is having a medical emergency." Someone laughed. "And you are a doctor?" Daniel shook his head. "Then stay away." Daniel looked carefully at Richard. He noticed that Richard's lips were turning pale. He immediately shouted, "Don't put anything in his mouth." The crowd became silent. Daniel knelt beside him. "Give me space." He checked Richard's breathing. Then he shouted, "Call an ambulance now." A woman immediately called. Daniel continued helping until professional medical assistance arrived. But the ambulance was still several minutes away. Richard suddenly stopped breathing normally. Daniel knew they were running out of time. Daniel began helping Richard while the crowd watched. Someone shouted, "Are you sure you know what you're doing?" Daniel didn't answer. He remained focused. "Stay with me," he whispered. "Stay with me," he whispered to Richard. Richard remembered Daniel, the man he had rejected earlier that day. Where is he? Nobody knew. Richard immediately ordered his employees to find him. For 3 days, Richard searched. They visited the market, they asked shop owners, they asked security guards. Finally, a woman pointed toward an old abandoned building. He sleeps somewhere around there. Richard went there himself. He found Daniel sitting alone. Richard walked toward him. They looked up. You? Richard knelt in front of him. I owe you my life. Daniel shook his head. You don't owe me anything. Richard removed an envelope from his pocket. Please take this. Daniel refused. I don't want money. Richard was surprised. Then what do you want? Daniel looked at him. I want a job. Richard smiled. A job? Yes. I used to be a mechanic. Richard took Daniel to his company. There was a serious problem with one of the company's machines. Several engineers had failed to repair it. Daniel examined it for less than 10 minutes. Then he pointed at one component. This is the problem. The engineers laughed, but Daniel opened the machine. He found exactly what he had predicted. Richard was stunned. You really know what you're doing. Daniel smiled. I told you. Within hours, Daniel repaired the machine. Richard immediately offered him a position as head of maintenance. But Daniel asked for something else. Can I also help the homeless people around the market? Richard agreed. Together, they created a small program that provided food, temporary shelter, and work opportunities for people living on the streets. Months later, Daniel was no longer living on the street. He had a home, a stable job, and a new purpose. One evening, Richard asked him, Daniel, why did you save me when everyone else was afraid? Daniel looked at him and smiled. Because I know what it feels like when everyone turns their back on you. Richard became silent. Daniel continued. Prince was poor, so what will stop seeing me as a human being? But I promised myself that I would never treat another person that way. Richard lowered his head. He remembered the way he had spoken to Daniel at the traffic light. I'm sorry, Richard said. Daniel smiled. It's okay.
They used to call me useless, but everything changed when I saved that billionaire. Still, for me, the real victory was not the money, the job, or the new house. You see, life gets strange way of changing position. If this story, I beg, Mona tell us for comment section if you not for stop to help Daniel, if you not see him for road. And if you not enjoy this story, Mona subscribe to Koslans Studio because the next one will even surprise you.